The Raiders made a big splash on both sides of the ball to start off free agency, from bringing in the #1 defensive tackle to signing a little ass boy.
He keeps calling everybody little ass boy. Hey, little ass boy.
So with day 2 right around the corner, I wanted to recap everything that went on for our Las Vegas Raiders on day 1 of free agency.
And you tell them one thing.
Just win, baby. It's because you're not feeling Uzi.
Yo, what is going on, Raider Nation? It's your boy Simone Raider back with another video. Now, I know you guys haven't seen this ugly mug in quite a while, but I thought what better way to come back on YouTube than to come back at the start of free agency, because you already know things gonna get popping. So, you know, I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to go over it and give you guys my initial thoughts on everything that went on. I got to sit down. I got to let this whole thing marinate, because I know I dropped a couple videos before, mostly instant reactions, but I got to sit down, relax, and look at the signings that we made. And I honestly felt like the Raiders made 2 big moves on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. But let's start off with the first move that we made on day 1. Now, free agency started like any other free agency would for the Las Vegas Raiders, pretty slow. We always seem to chill at the beginning of, the new season. And I was thinking, the Raiders probably not gonna do nothing too big on day 1, because we usually don't. But when we did come out, we came out swinging. And I got to give a huge shout out to Tommy Telesco and AEP, because they came out cooking. Chris Jones was re-signed to the Kansas City Chiefs early on in the week, and we were all thinking maybe Christian Wilkins, maybe Leonard Williams, and most of the time we don't really get the big names. Maybe we would have got one, maybe we would have got both, but the fact that we came out swinging, the fact that we came out and got the #1 defensive tackle that was available for us in Christian Wilkins had me excited, and pretty much showed you guys that AP ain't fucking around over here. We want to address the defensive tackle position. It's a position that we haven't addressed on this defensive side of the ball in quite a long time. We always seem to get other edge rushers. We always seem to get cornerbacks, maybe safeties, but we never, ever, ever, ever go out and get defensive tackle, star defensive tackle, to say the least, and even linebackers. But, that's another story. I'm not going to harp on that too much. But the Raiders announced that they were bringing in defensive tackle Christian Wilkins on a 4-year, $110 million deal with $87.45 million guaranteed. Now, that is a big, big, big contract, and I know one reason why the Dolphins kind of shied away from giving him that contract extension was the fact that he lacked getting to the quarterback. But this past season in 2023, he made up for that, and he kind of proved that he could get to the quarterback with getting a career high 9 sacks, which is huge, especially at the defensive tackle position. You don't really see that a lot. You see those numbers with edge rushers, but to see Christian Wilkins go out there and put the showing that he did, looking at his stats in 2023, overall, played in all 17 games, had 65 total tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 23 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and like I said before, 9 total sacks, being his career high. We got a guy in Wilkins that can stop the run, that could command those double teams, that could disrupt the quarterback and plug holes. And that's not even counting Max Crosby coming off of the edge. It's crazy, because I feel like this is a cheat code. The Raiders get a star defensive tackle like this. We have a guy like Max Crosby. We got another guy on the other edge with Malcolm Kuntz, who's starting to find his rhythm with this team. We seen a little bit of that last season when AP took over, and we still got a young rookie that has a high ceiling, and Tyree Wilson, who also can play inside as well. And I feel like we're going to keep him at the defensive tackle position. So you look at that whole defensive line. We upgraded with just 1 move, which really gets me excited, because I'm like, man, we haven't had a defensive line look as good as they do right now. I'm just hoping that the production on the field matches what we see on paper right now, because we look like an unstoppable defensive line. Now, the main reason why I'm really excited about having Christian Wilkins here in the silver and black is the mere fact that you look at the defense that we had under AP last year. We were a top 15, top 10 defense. We were a scary looking defense. We were able to make turnovers, cause turnovers, apply pressure, all of that with guys like Jerry Tillery, Isaac Rochelle, Bilal Nichols, Adam Butler, all playing at that defensive tackle position. Heck, throw Tyree Wilson up in there as well. But you bring in the best available defensive tackle in free agency that is still young, that has a high ceiling, that has that star caliber at that position like Christian Wilkins. The sky is the limit, and I could definitely see this Raiders team being a top 10 defense. He can definitely take that load off of Max Crosby. But I'm not the only one that was excited about this move. You got guys like Rich Eisen out there showing a lot of love to the Raiders signing Christian Wilkins.
He is a one-man wrecking machine. But just imagine what he can do when the Condor is lined up to his left. Max Crosby next to Christian Wilkins sounds like an AFC Pro Bowl team. But I love this. That's exactly, you want to have a team to try and knock off the Chiefs. You have somebody in the middle who is such a monster.
With that said, though, man, Christian is still a young player, still 28 years old, got a lot of good years ahead of him, and he gets to reunite with his old teammate, Hunter Renfrow. I mean, I don't know how long Hunter is going to be here on the team, but as far as right now, he got another Clemson buddy to join him over here in Las Vegas. Now, you know, I do not want to get my hopes up about this move like I did with Yannick Ngakoue, with Chandler Jones, but I do feel like it's a little bit different because we're not just bringing in another edge rusher. We're bringing in a guy that could come in and take over the interior of the defensive line. Now, in some other news, the Raiders only made one other move on day one of free agency, bringing in a little-ass boy by the name of Gardner Minshew on a 2-year, $25 million contract with $15 million guaranteed.
Little-ass boy. I'm little out here, but not always, you know.
Now, I know looking at the numbers of the contract, it does seem pretty high for a backup quarterback. But when you really think about it, we're getting a quality backup quarterback. Minshew started 13 games last season after Anthony Richardson went down, and he went 7-6 as a starter, throwing for 15 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, making his first Pro Bowl appearance in 2023. Now, like I said before, I know a lot of fans are going to complain about the contract that he got, but I honestly think that it's a solid one, because if you look at it like this, if anything was to happen to our quote-unquote starter going into 2024, you know, knock on wood, I have a lot of confidence in Gardner Minshew stepping up and taking over and being a solid veteran quarterback that could help us until that starter does become, you know, healthy again. Just simply looking at the situation that we went through last season with Jimmy G and AOC, with AP having to step up and make that call, I feel like if we had a guy like Gardner Minshew that could take over, we would be in a different position right now. We would possibly be in the playoffs last season if we had Gardner Minshew take over as that quarterback. It's just ironic that, you know, Gardner Minshew was the reason why we didn't go into the playoffs. But nonetheless, we see what type of quarterback Gardner Minshew is and what he's capable of. So I'm okay with this move. We bring in a solid backup that could take over if anything was to happen. I really like Gardner Minshew's game. You know, he has that vibe about him that, you know, could transpire in the locker room, that he could get along well with all the other guys, plus be that leader if we need him to be. If his number is called, he's definitely going to be there to answer. And plus, Gardner is an Oakland legend. I mean, he's the last NFL quarterback to ever win in Oakland.
Are you serious right now, bro?
In all seriousness, though, I don't think that the Raiders are done addressing the quarterback position. That's why I'm okay with this move, because I feel like we are still going to go out and get a quarterback to come over here and compete or even take over the starting position. There's only two options I see the Raiders doing moving forward from now. One being that we could go out and trade for Justin Fields, which that's always been my number one option. And two is going into the NFL draft and getting their quarterback, whether they move up in the draft or stay pat or get a quarterback later on in the draft. Just keep this in mind, though. I don't think you guys remember Tom Telesco signed a veteran quarterback in Tyrod Taylor before he drafted a guy like Justin Herbert in the NFL draft. So who knows? We bring in Gardner Minshew. Who's going to be that quarterback for us in the draft? I don't know. But who would you guys want? Let me know down in the comments below. Now, free agency is always about gaining new players, but also losing some players, especially key players. And we found that out early on today when breaking news came out. Ian Rappaport announced that Josh Jacobs, former Raiders running back, was heading to the Green Bay Packers.
Sources say that the Packers are expected to sign Josh Jacobs.
The third all-time rusher in Raiders history not only became the number one running back over there in Green Bay, because not too long after they signed him, they let go of Aaron Jones, but he also got paid. According to Tom Pelissero, the Packers will be signing two-time Pro Bowl running back to a 4-year, $48 million deal. So, I mean, looking at the deal, it makes a lot of sense why Josh Jacobs ended up going to Green Bay. And I know that Jacobs came out and made it known that if AP was to return as the Raiders head coach, that he would come back at a discounted rate. And I honestly feel like he would have if he didn't get paid. You know, according to another report from Logan Reaver, he reported that Josh Jacobs was in talks with the Raiders up until the buzzer and wanted to be in Las Vegas. But the Packers clearly came in with an offer that's tough to refuse, signing that 4-year, $48 million deal with $12.5 million guaranteed, which is a huge win in the running back market. So honestly, I can't blame Josh Jacobs for taking that check. You know, you got to definitely take care of that chicken, because we all know that the Raiders were not going to come anywhere near that number, especially with the emergence of Zamir White late last season. But Jacobs did not shy away from making his thoughts known to the public right after signing. He posted this on his IG story saying, "When a player leaves, it's always the players being unloyal. At what point do we ask the franchises for that same loyalty?"
What do you mean by that?
Now, I'm guessing that this is geared towards either the franchise or to some backlash that he's probably getting from some of the fans. At the end of the day, this is all just a business, and that's why I don't really blame Josh Jacobs for taking that check and going to Green Bay. I just don't know why we always got to have some type of subliminal message when it comes to some of our players. You know what I mean? But speaking of other players on the team, Max Crosby came out, showed his support to Josh Jacobs, showed him some love on his way out, going to Green Bay, tweeting this, saying, "Real life soldier, love you for life, brother. Nothing's changed but the jersey. We came in together with similar goals in mind, and now look at where we're at. Green Bay got a great one." To where Josh Jacobs replied, "Love you too, brother. You know what it is." At the end of the day, I got nothing but love for Josh Jacobs. I wish him nothing but the best over there in Green Bay. I really wish that he could have stayed in the silver and black for the rest of his career, but it is what it is. We all got to move forward, and there's always going to be other running backs out there in the market, which begs the question, who's going to be the next running back one for the Raiders going into 2024? I honestly feel like it's going to be Zamir White. I know a lot of other fans might think that we're going to go get another big name, and we possibly can, but Zamir White, as of right now, is the number one running back, and I just feel like the Raiders are just going to adjust, you know, that RB2 position, and we're just going to run off a 1-2 punch, whether we go into the draft or go into free agency, because there's a lot of notable names out there that's still available. The number one name, as far as right now, that's available is Derrick Henry. And a lot of people have been talking about him possibly coming over here to Las Vegas, which I wouldn't mind. But I also don't want to pay a lot of money for a running back. The list just goes on and on and on. But with all that being said, Raider Nation, who is one free agent that you guys want the Raiders to sign that is still available out there right now? Let me know down in the comments below. Now, before I do head out of here, some other notable losses that we had was defensive tackle Bilal Nichols. He signed with the Arizona Cardinals on a 3-year, $21 million contract with $14.4 million guaranteed. And also, offensive tackle Jermaine Illuminor went to the New York Giants on a 2-year, $14 million deal. Wish nothing but the best for all those guys. I just can't wait to see what the Raiders are going to do in these next coming days. Until the next big move, this is your boy Simone Raider, and your boy is Yow.